guys, what's going on? It's Jay from Sony Alpha Lab, and what I got here is the Sony A7r. The A7r sets a new standard in full-frame mirrorless image quality, and it's the best Sony camera I've reviewed to date. Featuring a new 36 megapixel sensor with a gapless on-chip lens design, which ensures the most amount of light gets to each pixel as efficiently and accurately as possible. This new design also allows for no anti-aliasing filter in front of the sensor, which gives the A7r images extra crisp detail. Full manual controls, including an exposure comp dial and tons of customizable buttons, ensure you can set up the A7r exactly how you want it. A beefy ergonomic grip provides plenty of leverage and has a nice rugged feel to it. A few buttons are a little awkward in placement, like the menu button and the C2 button, for example, which are not in the best physical location along the top just above the LCD screen. Other than that, I've really come to love the ergonomics of the A7R and A7 camera body. A quality lens is required to get the most out of the 36 megapixel sensor, and Sony introduced some of the best full-frame lenses ever tested by DxOMark and DP Review, including the 55mm f1.8 and 35mm f2.8 Zeiss lens. For this review, I will be using the 55mm f1.8 lens, as you can see here. I will also be using the Metabones 3 lens adapter and various Canon EF-L lenses to test this versatility out and image quality. The A7R is identical to the A7 in appearance, but it actually contains a lot more metal. This results in a more rigid design for heavier lenses, according to Sony, and it weighs in at 407 grams, which is actually 9 grams lighter than the A7. Clearly, the A7R has an advantage in build quality if you factor in all the extra magnesium and slight weight advantage. According to DxOMark, the A7R also has an advantage in the image quality department, with a 95 score over a 90 for the A7. That's pretty significant when you're looking at image quality. Check out here where the memory card goes. It takes the SD style card and it goes in the grip instead of down by the battery. And over here on the left side of the camera, you have your audio in port and your audio out port, plus your HDMI out and your multi-USB port. And on the LCD screen is 3 inches and articulates fully upward, and, well, not fully, but 90-degree upward, and it articulates downward a little bit like that as well for overhead shooting. And it's really rigid. It's well made. The battery door has the standard swivel style. It takes the FW50 battery. I get about 400 shots off each battery is what I've been averaging, and it works quite well. When you turn it on, the aperture opens up. That's pretty cool. And when you turn it on from the back for the first time, you're going to get prompted with this, where you have to select your area. So you just go in there and pick your area, set up your time and date. It's very straightforward. It just walks you through, and you hit the center button as your enter. And then the high-res EVF, as you can see, when you just put your eye in front of it, will automatically trigger. Now I wanted to do a focus test so you can hear the shutter. Check this out. Now, it's not exactly quiet, but it's not really that loud either, in my opinion. It sounds like a nice shutter to me. So anyway, moving on, if you hit the menu button, which is a little slightly awkward, the way it's placed up there, up on the top left. But anyway, when you hit the menu button, it'll bring you into this nice pro-style menu. And if you scroll through with your thumb wheel, you could pretty much just go right through all the menu options easily. And there's pretty much every setting imaginable in here. Highly customizable. And, you got Wi-Fi options. You can set it as an access point. It's got your application area. That's your play interface. This is your accessory area, where if you're going to connect it, if you want to format your memory card, all that type of stuff. And then back to the beginning. If you hit your function menu, which is right where your thumb is, it brings you to the quick options where you can program that and set it up exactly how you want it. Check out the hot shoe up here. It has a little plastic clip in there, and I got the accessory flash unit that I highly recommend, actually. It works quite well. It's pretty affordable. It's the HVL F20 flash, and it has a direct mode and a bounce mode, and it works really, really good in bounce. I did actually a pretty decent review on it on Sony Alpha Lab. You could check it out. And tons of sample photos. I'll show you a few in a second in Lightroom. But anyway, it just goes into the top of the camera, the standard hot shoe here. It'll work on all the new standard hot shoe Sony cameras. And it takes two AAA batteries. They last pretty long, longer than I expected. And that's what it looks like mounted on the top. Folds down. It's pretty convenient. Unlike some of the larger flashes, this one comes with a little baggie, and you could fit it in your pocket quite easily. Alright, using the flexible spot, I just wanted to do a quick focus test here so you can see how fast the lens is and the contrast AF. It's really quick. Check this out. I'll move it, focus, boom. Then I focus on the lights in the middle, it nails it, and then I focus on the Macbeth chart, the color chart on the right, and it nails that. It's very, very accurate. Just playing around with a few of the buttons here, the exposure comp dial feels really good. The quality of the click is pretty much just how you want it. The button to the left is much easier to use, but it's actually good, just how you want it again. They really dialed in the dampening and the clicking just right, in my opinion. If you hit the display button here, it'll cycle through the different viewing modes, and the left is your shooting modes, the right is your white balance. You might wonder if the A7R works in the studio, and the answer is yes. I put my flash trigger in here, which I have Alien B lights, the B800s. I have a few of those, and this is the flash trigger. And I have receivers plugged into the Alien B light units, and it works perfectly. You do have to change the live view display mode to setting effect off. That's one option you got to change when you're using manual mode in the studio environment, because you're using the off light. You're using off-camera lighting in order to illuminate your subject, so you're going to have to set that effect to off in order to see what you're doing on the camera. Otherwise, the manual mode settings will make everything look dark, and that won't work out too well. But yeah, it works in the studio. I tried it, and I have a bunch of shots to show you. Here I was just playing around with it. So let's check out some sample photos in Lightroom. Alrighty, so here we are in Lightroom 5. And what I wanted to show you first was this scene that I always like to shoot with pretty much every camera. And I took this with the Canon L24-105 lens using the Metabones 3 lens adapter on the A7. And I also took the same shot pretty much with the A7R. Now in the A7R here, I was in my work van on my lunch break, so I was much higher. I was about 5 feet higher probably, sitting in the van, versus my car where I was almost on the ground. My car is super low, so the vantage point was much different. But the bottom line is I focused on this area right here where the satellite dishes are, and I was using f5.6, and let me show you what 24 megapixel versus 36 looks like. The lighting was significantly different as well. As you can see, the angle of the shadows. So in this shot, it was a little bit earlier, I think. But anyways, let me zoom in here and show you what we got. So this street sign here, you can see the sharpness, you can see the detail in the concrete here, like it's painted over with the blue, but the detail is still, you can see like the ridges, the little ridges in the concrete, the stone. It's like a stone slab or something there. And if you look at the rest, it's seen here, it's really sharp. You can see the stop sign down there. You can see a little bit of the color moire here on the brick, like that purple. Now let me look at the, let me go to the A7R here. Now this is the 36 megapixel. So let me go, you can see how much more resolution there is. If I'm zoomed in, this is at 100%. So looking at the street sign, let me go back to this one here quick. See how much further out it is? So at 100%, the street sign's pretty small there, see? Now I'll switch to this one. You can see the street sign, how much bigger it is. Pretty significant. It's just more resolution. If I pan over here to the left, you could see the stop sign is much easier to read. The detail on the brick up here is significantly more. Image quality is exceptional in both. It looks like the colors are a little bit more vibrant, but I believe it was just the natural lighting of the day. It was just a warmer light coming in at this hour versus this hour. It's much colder. That's pretty much the A7 versus the A7R, just using, the Metabones adapter and the same exact lens. Alright, so continuing on the comparison of the A7R versus the A7, I just wanted to show you some high ISO shots. And this is raw quality. And you could notice at ISO 25,000, the A7R raw quality, it has a purple cast that kind of sneaks in. And it's reminiscent of the Nex 7 at high ISO, how the purple cast would then, kind of sneak in at the very high ISOs. So if we look at ISO 12,800 raw, you can see the purple cast is way less. There's still a little bit of purple, but it's way less. And then in JPEG mode, it pretty much cancels all that out and fixes it. This is 12,800 in JPEG. So now I just wanted to show you at 100% crop pretty much what the high ISO looks like. And the color is really good. It's just noisy, you know, but the color looks pretty good here, in my opinion. Especially once you fix that purple color cast, the color looks really vibrant and pretty accurate. And then at 12,800, you can see here it's even better, you know, significantly better. But again, the color looks great. Now looking at the Sony A7, you could see the color here is not bad. This is 12,800, but it just looks more flat, not quite as vibrant. But the lighting conditions were, you know, a little bit different. The lab wasn't set up exactly the same way. Here's the full scene. So this is the full scene that I used for the A7, and this is the full scene I used for the A7R. So it is a little bit different, but bottom line, check out the color chart here. This is ISO 12,800. Now look at it at 25,000. It's pretty nasty. And that 25,000 compared to this 25,000, in my opinion, the A7R does a better job. Even though it has that purple color cast, it still does a better job pulling in the color information itself. And you know, overall, I think it's better. That's just my opinion, but again, that's what it looks like to me. All right, so moving on to some lab photos, I just wanted to show you how the full frame renders the scene in the lab. And on the top left here, we have f1.8, and you know, it goes f2.8, f4, 5.6, f8, f11, and then down here all the way on the bottom, we have f16. So you can see, even with the full frame 55mm at f16, you're getting pretty good sharpness, considering how much separation you have here when you compare it to the f1.8. Alright guys, so continuing on, looking at some of the lab photos, I just wanted to run through the aperture and show you the difference in sharpness, you know, f1.8 versus 2.8 and so on. So here's the full scene of the lab, and this chart here is about 4 feet away from the focus point, which is the crayons. I focused on the crayons, and the lights are hanging on a light stand all the way in the back, about, you know, good 12 feet away. Alright, so I want to show you the 100% crops. So you can see f1.8 is pretty darn sharp. It's not 100%, you know, razor blade sharp, but it's really sharp. You can see the detail in the pencil here. And now check out f2.8. We can see f2.8 is significantly sharper. And then if I go to f4, it gets even sharper. You could really see it in the detail in the string. And f5.6, again, it's even sharper. So the quality of the Zeiss lens is amazing, and the detail of the A7R is pretty incredible as well. And this is f8, and you can see just how ridiculously sharp it is. All the detail, I mean, the detail is incredible. You can see like all the paper, you know, like the actual fragments of the paper. I also wanted to show you at f1.8 just a little bit more detail. And if you look at the top left corner of the full scene, here's the full scene again. I'll just zoom out. And up here I put all these little craft rods. They're like bendy things. And if you look at the detail of them, they have this really fine like fur material. And it also has this shiny one. So you can see at f1.8, you know, there's a little bit of softness there. But even the little target chart here looks pretty good. A little bit of chromatic aberration, but not bad. But then when you compare it to f2.8, you could see how dramatically sharper it is. It really, really sharpens up significantly. So, you know, wide open, the lens is really good. But at f2.8, you stop it down a little bit, it really sharpens up significantly. So, you know, and then the bokeh, here's full wide open f1.8, and here's f2.8. So you can see it looks pretty good. The separation here in the color chart is awesome. Really liking it. And in the full image, you could see over here on the bottom right, you could see how the lights, there's also a little strip down there, and you could see how they turn oval shape. It's like pretty signature Zeiss. It looks pretty awesome. And here's some of the more detailed shots on the circuit board. It's like ridiculously sharp and detailed. This is f4. This guy, I just got a little bit closer here, and I wanted to show you a JPEG versus a RAW file. This is a RAW file, and I'm at almost the minimum focus distance. So I was trying to make these light balls as big as possible. And you can see at the RAW file, this is ISO 100, and check out RAW versus JPEG. There's JPEG. And it really jacks up the contrast. It looks pretty cool. And notice down here on the bottom right how the lights, they get that oval shape to them. They look pretty cool. If you zoom in, you could see how the Sony A7R handles the sharpening. This is at f1.8 at 100%. So it's not too bad. A little bit overdone. You could see the depth of field is extremely narrow. You could see it on this bungee cord perfectly where the depth of field is. It's like right there. And then if you look, it kind of cuts through the string, the depth of field. So there's only certain parts that are sharp. But anyway, and then if change the focus point, looking at the RAW, here's the RAW file. All I did was move the focus point, but the lens is in exactly the same spot. Check it out. So you could see how the foreground, changes out of focus. And then here's the chart. And the focus is incredibly accurate. Pretty much everything you focus on, it nails. Sony it almost like it just knows what you want to focus on. I gotta tell you. Alright, so moving out from the lab, I wanted to show you a few studio pictures quick. Now, these are just snapshots playing around in the studio, and this is taken with the Sony A7R and the Zeiss 55mm f1.8 lens. And just look how sharp that is. It's unbelievably sharp, and it nailed the focus. I was using that eye focus feature, and it pretty much hit this eye, and I decided just to let it hit it. Usually it picks the closer eye by default, it seems like, the eye focus AF, and the lighting was really low. I'm using studio lighting, so the actual ambient light was really low in the studio. Here's another shot. Look at how sharp this one is. Here we go. There's Chubbs. So you can see f1.8 is the depth of field is extremely narrow, and this is unedited. This is a RAW file. So I'm just going to zoom in here, show you the sharpness. You can see it's not bad. Obviously, Chubbs is moving a little bit, so it focused on the fur just in front of his eye, pretty much. But if you look at it edited, there's a little enhancement done. Looks really good. Here's 100% crop. So that's the edited 100% crop. You can see it looks pretty good, even though the focus is slightly off. But so here's the Z scene on the deck that I like to take pictures of, just to compare, the depth of field and stuff. There's a white house here, and then the railing has snow on it. In a slightly lower perspective. Here's a statue down in a town called Ellenville. I'll zoom in here and show you just how sharp this lens is. It's f1.8. It's got a lot of detail. You can see the flag out of focus in the background there. Here's a vertical version. Same shot. Very, very sharp. I found this cool house that burnt down, this like creepy looking house, and to the right of it was this scene, so I just took a quick snapshot here. It's like a landscape. I'll zoom in, you can see how sharp. This is at f4, and the detail is really, really good. Zoom up here and show you the light for reference. It's very sharp. Incredible detail. And here's this cool burnt down building. Had some highly detailed wood, so I figured it'd be a good subject to take some sample shots. There's another scene. You can see how well the separation is. Same shot at f2.8. So that's f1.8, that's f2.8. You can see the background. The difference in the background. The nail has significantly more sharpness on it. So looking at a different angle here, just I had a little foreground, and then, focused in the middle, and then background here, so you can see the separation. Here's a length of wood there, you can see. And the depth of field is extremely narrow, f1.8. You can see how narrow it is. But I'm very close to this subject, so it's expected. And here, shooting at an angle, you could see I focused on this area. And you can see through the window here, the trees are out of focus. F4, and you get a nice bokeh effect there through the back of the building. And looking down at the snow at F4, you can see there's some vignette there even at F4. I raised the exposure comp a little bit for this shot, and it's a JPEG. And really, the dynamic range is excellent. Here's another image. This is a RAW file, and you can see it's very colorful. A little bit cold straight off the camera, white balance wise. Here's a next shot. This is also RAW, And I just want to zoom in here and show you how sharp this is. It's ridiculous how sharp. Amazing lens. Amazing. And now if you look back up here, you can see the separation. So at f4, the background is, out of focus. And relative to where I am, I'm at the gas station actually, so the distance to this building is about the same from me to this building to this person over here. So at f4, it's not really that much separation from this distance. Here's another pretty cool scene. This is another raw file. These would look really good edited. Just didn't get a chance to do too much editing. But look at that detail. It's excellent. Dynamic range is really good. You can see the histogram. All the information's there. You can drag these sliders up and down and pull out shadow detail. Here's a selfie I took with the smartphone. This is a Jpeg file because I was using the app, the Play Memories app, and it works pretty well. Check it out. Focused on me. You can see my eyes are razor blade sharp, eyelashes, and that's what you get. Pretty impressive. We also had some friends over, so I took a couple of natural light shots. And check out these eyelashes. So I just converted it to black and white. And here's 100% crop. And see, it's pretty darn sharp. Moving on, me and my dad went up to visit. I had to get my car fixed, so we went to this town called Kingston, and we found this cool place called. But anyway, they have all this cool stuff outside, so we took some pictures. And unbelievable. I mean, the detail this lens pumps out, and the camera, these radiators, all these cool old radiators. I zoom in on the sign here. You can see the separation. See how sharp, see all the detail on the sign, and then the building in the background. ISO 400 raw. You can see it was actually snowing out. See the snow coming down? These are raw files, guys. Believe me, they would look a lot better if I, edited them, jacked them up. This one, I saw this bird was sitting on top of the light post, and it flew off. So I had to focus on the center point, and I just zoomed out. I, aimed it at the bird, took the shot, and this is what I ended up with. Focused on the bird. I was really far away. Just taking some snapshots here. Planet wings. And I focused on this store here, and I was shooting at f4. So I wanted to show you how out of focus the sign is. See, the sign is slightly soft because I was focused on this building in the background. Look how sharp this building is. It's pretty awesome. If I took this shot at f8, the sign would be sharp. But I took it at, f4, and I focused here. If I took it at f8 and focused on this rail right here, then the sign would be sharp and the store would be sharp. But I was purposely going for a test shot, and I wanted to show you, just the separation you can get with full frame at 55 millimeter. So even at f4, you get separation between this sign and this building, which is, 100 feet away or whatever. So that's about it for the real world shots. I took this scene as well with the lens. And it's ridiculously sharp. Let me zoom in and show you. See that detail? Alright, so I actually got a chance to get out there and take some personal photos recently, and I wanted to go through them real quick. Here's all of them. And I used, for most of these, almost all of these, I used the 17-40 Canon lens. And I'm just going to go through all of them. So here's the first one, Creepy House. This is raw quality at f8 and ISO 400. And here's the edited version. So it looks pretty good edited. Here's another angle. And there's some edited version there. There's edited, raw, edited. Here's 100% crop. See, it looks a little bit noisy, but it's because I jacked up all the settings when I was editing it. Here's another raw file. And there's an edited version. Here's an edited version just using Lightroom. This version I used the Nik filters to edit. This version is just Lightroom. So here's the raw, and that's Lightroom enhancement. Here's 100% crop. Look at how sharp that is. This is a raw file right here. This is a raw. And here's a really far view. Here's an edited version. I used the Nik black and white software for this one, Silver FX Pro 2 it's called, and it came out pretty good. And this is just a nice truck was parked. I figured I'd take a shot of it. It's just a cool dump truck. There's a S-curve scene, and here's another scene. Had some just pretty significant dynamic range. I like the detail of it. Kind of had a good balance to it as well, so I just took the shot. And the lens works great on the A7R. Wide angle is very, very good. Across the street was these big tanks, and you might wonder what the heck is that for. And if you look above, there's a pool. It's filled in with dirt, and this used to be like an old hotel. And you could see how sharp it is right here. I focused in the foreground area. You could see how sharp it is. And this is a raw file. It's really sharp. And then if I zoom in on the hotel out here, you can see it's slightly out of focus, but not too bad. I mean, it's right in the corner. You can see it's up in the upper right corner, and I focused down here in the foreground. So the fact that it's that good is pretty, and I was handheld. So if I was using a tripod, put it down and did f16 and focused like more in the middle here, this scene would be sharp from front to back. I was just fooling around here, handheld, walking in the snow. It was freezing. But again, very happy with these results. I mean, it's unbelievable how sharp it is. Quality is excellent. Could totally use this setup and be happy with my wide-angle photography. Here's another shot. And you can see that lens does a great job. The, horizontal and verticals. Really like that lens. Here's another one. See, the wide angle just gives that cool effect. This is ISO 1000. And you can see how sharp it is. It's very sharp. ISO 1000, it looks excellent. Raw file. I focused on these windows here. See how sharp it is? And then back here is a little bit out of focus. I was using f5.6, and I was really close to the subject here on the left. I was at 17 millimeter. So it's pretty cool how you can, get these wide angle effects. Here's another shot, 17 millimeter vertical, and you can see that cool wide angle. I really like that. And here's another building. It's actually under construction. They're restoring it, and it was snowing out, but I had to run over and get a cool shot of it. I love the detail in this building. Here it is from the side, and you can see they got the construction stuff set up. Look how sharp this shot is. You can see the detail in the brick. It was snowing out, handheld, 1/200th of a second. But the detail in this brick, 36 megapixel is just amazing. Very, very impressive. Even over here on the right, you could see the detail on this telephone pole, the super high contrast. I'm very, very happy. This is what impressed me the most with the new Sony A7R, especially over the A7. Just the unbelievable detail. It's just the extra resolution is what it is. 24 versus 36 is very significant. Look at all that detail. You could see every little thing, and it was snowing out, so there was so much snow in between me and the building. It's unbelievable. Did a really good job. So you might wonder, at 17 millimeter, what kind of corner sharpness are you getting? I was at f8 here, okay? And I aimed at the center here was my focus point. So you can see how sharp the center is. It's pretty good. ISO 1000. I'm happy with that. And then if you look at this corner up here, you can see how good it is. It's not perfect. You can see some chromatic aberration here, but it's really good. For the absolute corner, that's very good. Look at this in the parking lot, this Hummer here. You can see it's pretty darn sharp. So 17 millimeters is very wide, and you can see with the A7R it works. So you don't have to use the Sony A mount. You can come over with your Canon gear. I'll wait till you see this cool train I found. There's more shots of this. I also found this old mansion. It's called Montgomery Manor. A little smaller than I was expecting for a mansion, but regardless, it was snowing really hard, and took a few shots of it. And you could see the detail rendered, quite good. ISO 1000 again, handheld. And I really like how this lens works. Yeah, that's a raw file, so, it looked much better edited. But for raw, it looks great. Look at a cool train scene. Found this old creepy train. You saw a picture of it a second ago. Here's what it looks like on the inside. There's a raw file. And here's a darker one. Here's a brighter one. And there's an HDR. So that's what it looks like when you blend this, and this together. So these three exposures, and you can get this. And then if you edit it even further, you can get something like this. It looks pretty cool. I really like this shot. So here's another angle. I got a ton from this scene here. If you want to put your luggage, this is the old luggage rack looking up top here. You can put your luggage up there. And this is the door in the back of the train. It leads to another car. You can see just how cool. I mean, this is a raw file right off the camera, and the dynamic range is amazing. The detail is incredible. I'm very, very happy with the quality, and this really makes me want the camera more than anything. Look at this one. This is a raw file, and this is an edited raw file. It's not an HDR. I just edited the raw file and got this from this. There's another shot going into the other train car. And here's a vertical. Now this one, I just wanted to show you the dynamic range real quick. Let me just go into the develop mode. Now watch this. If I pull the highlights down, I can bring that detail back in the outside of the train, right? And then if I pull the shadows up, I can bring out the detail on the inside of the train. See that? I can bring the blacks down a little bit, drag the clarity up. So you can see real easily how quick you can just pull out the detail, the highlights and the shadows. It's very impressive. This was just the old circuit breaker or power supply hookup in the train, I guess. It's pretty cool. I just like the wide angle effect, how it, distorts everything and gives you that cool 3D look. There's another piece of something on the train. And this was another car across the street that I didn't get a chance to get to, but I will go back and check it out. Alright, so one last thing I wanted to show you is this overlay here. Check this out. See how much bigger the full frame is, the A7R? The lens mount is exactly the same size. Alright, that wraps up this review of the Sony A7R, and I do have a separate article for the FLV F20M flash unit, so look below for the link on that article, and that'll give you tons of sample photos showing exactly how to use that flash unit in all different scenarios and whatnot. But for this video review, I hope you guys got what you were looking for, and bottom line is the image quality is incredible, best I've ever used, and the versatility of the camera is also very nice with the lens adapter. So I hope you guys got something out of this, like I said, and have a great day. I'll catch up with you on Sony Alpha Lab, and I greatly appreciate your support by using the affiliate links below. Alright guys, take care.